Right, yeah.
All right, we'll bring this meeting to order. First order of business is review and approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I make a motion
The minutes be approved.
I second it.
Okay.
Now we can refer to,
On the front page.
now we get a review and approve the warrants. You got a chance to look these over?
No.
School one is in there, so that's $147,000.
We'll find out what the school one is next tomorrow.
Yeah. You wanna sign this, or did you sign
I
it?
didn't do that, no. I move that it be approved as submitted.
I second it.
Next thing on the agenda is approve removal of funds from emergency road repair reserve account for Storm Elliott damage.
I move that we fund the storm damage repair from the emergency road repair reserve account. I think you guys have discussed the issue already.
Yeah. I'll second it.
How much we gotta take out, 56,000?
The total that, for, the total of the storm was 62,000, but Bruce had 2,000 of that or whatever. My total cost for the highway department was $60,608.66. If you wanna round it down, or whatever you wanna do, it's fine, just give you the accurate number.
60,608,
Yeah, and then 66 cents, but.
we'll run it up to 69.
Okay, the next order on the agenda is the Dearborn Road property at Control Fire Department burn. Clean up that mess.
You wanna do that, Bruce, before the snow melts?
The trailer going?
No, probably not, but he's been warned through, the lawyers, and I think, Wes talked to him, so. Do what we can, I guess, but.
Well, I'm gonna say, if we push a trailer in, that's what I'm asking.
No, I ain't gonna push it.
not telling us not to get spider either.
That's right.
You know, this is a national problem, people doing this, they're coming in and just taking over properties that are abandoned and moving in there, and they can't get them out. And it like, it gets bogged down in court for months, if not years. So you guys have done a really good job, because we could be faced with something a lot worse than what.
There's more going on in town than you realize. I just talked to an attorney today who represents somebody who gave a mortgage, and people won't pay the mortgage, they won't move, they won't pay attention to the town notices of violations and whatnot. They just don't care.
No, they don't, that's what I was reading, and they get away with it.
Well, on Facebook the other day, I see where a guy had gone on vacation, he and his wife had gone on vacation, somebody moved into their house while they was on vacation, and they come back and they can't get them out in their own house.
Oh, my God.
Sounds like the case of lead poisoning coming up.
Yeah, from one end of the, yeah.
Kathy, you're on camera.
I don't know, just saying.
Oh, you're talking about bad water.
Oh, bad water.
I was thinking lead paint.
I was,
Well,
okay.
there is that.
Okay.
A little slower.
Scary anyway. I appreciate what you guys are doing, is what I'm trying to say.
Bruce, is there any way of moving that kind of out of the way, or is it?
I thought I was gonna go up and look at it and see what it looked like today, and I didn't. I went home and I didn't get back.
Just in case, I mean, just to cover ourselves, and if you can, if you can't, I mean, if there's too much snow around there, I really think there's any place to move it, you know, other than the road.
There's a lot of junk up there, and they've stacked it in pretty tight, so.
You know, I wish I would take an engine off and try and keep weighing that down.
Yeah.
No guarantee.
That'd be a good
No
practice.
guarantee.
No, they're out, they've left, but they've left all the stuff there.
That's good practice for you, Bruce, to
See?
protect the surroundings.
Yeah. I'll probably do that right during the day someday. We've got, Woods down here to do, and Howard's got his to do.
Oh.
So we've got other training to do.
Oh, good.
Inside now.
Oh, that's good.
Okay,
This
next thing.
one out, I just want to sit there and watch it go.
The,
Yeah.
so if we, I don't know, nail something to the side of what's left there, just saying, okay, you know, this thing's gonna burn on, you know, 2 days or whatever, just so that they have a visual warning. You know, Mr. Hargis, I've seen him several times walking up and down Douglas Hill Road with a wheelbarrow. So he's moving stuff very slowly. So if he gets up there, he should be able to see the sign. But he's been warned through, West, and the attorney's been notified.
Make a sign, put it up there for a couple of days, we'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next,
Yep. Yep, thank you.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the Mountain Division Trail. Senator Rick Bennett, I don't see him yet. Are you people from the?
We are. I couldn't imitate the senator by any stretch. My name is Doug Smith, by the way. I'm the vice president of the Alliance. This is Terry Egan, also board member.
Yeah. So,
Floor is yours.
okay, great. So, I'm from, the town of Brownfield, and, we are, as Doug said, a member of the Mountain Division Alliance. I was also on the Rail Use Advisory Committee. That was a group that was, established to take a look at the rail, Mountain Division Rail, and make a recommendation regarding whether, we should try to move forward with, a trail alongside the rail, rail only, or trail until rail. So we heard a lot of presentations and studies about different possibilities. Our concern, though, is that there seems to be more misinformation that's being spread about the upcoming bill before the legislature, LD 404, which is for the legislature to accept the recommendation of the Rail Use Advisory Committee, which is to go with the trail until rail. So we just wanted to be sure that people are getting full information and accurate information about how we came to that recommendation and what that would mean for Baldwin as well as Brownfield and Hiram and the other towns along the trail. I do have handouts if you want to take one with you that has a little more information about the history of how all this came to be and kind of where we are at this point. But I thought it might be good to just point out a few things that are in this little summary document that we feel is important. I think most of all is that a trail, I think most people want a trail of some sort to make use of what is really a wonderful asset that the state of Maine has. And having a safe place where we and our children and grandchildren can ride bikes and people can walk is, I think, a real benefit for our towns along this route that really don't have safe places for people to ride a bike. Most of us don't have sidewalks and very wide shoulders for bike riding, so this would provide a real nice opportunity for that. And there has been a bit of a push after the Rail Use Advisory Committee finished their work, questioning why the proposal wasn't to maintain a rail alongside the trail. But the difficulty is that that's extraordinarily expensive to do. The trail until rail, which would mean the trail will be put down where the rail is right now. The rail will be taken up a trail, paved trail is the recommendation, so it would not disturb any more land than where the rail is currently. To put the trail alongside the existing rail would be a lot more expensive and a lot more disruptive. I'm not sure about Baldwin, but I know Brownfield has a lot of environmentally sensitive areas that the rail goes through now, and we don't want to disturb it any more than we would need to. It actually has, the proposed trail actually has 26 water crossings. So even if just a trail is built, those crossings would have to be maintained, restored, make sure they were safe. But if we built the trail alongside the rail, that would mean 26 additional water crossings would have to be built, which you can imagine how expensive that is. To build the rail alongside the trail, the estimate was $148,300,000, whereas the trail until rail is the estimate now is $19,800. So you can see what a difference it would be.
19,000?
I'm sorry, 19 million.
That's what there was.
Where do we sign up?
That was real.
That's still a-
I was trying to pay the numbers.
That's if we do the paving ourselves. I'm sorry, $148,300,000 compared to $19,800,000, still a big difference. And all this information is available online if you want to see more in-depth reports. But besides the health benefits and recreational benefits, there are really a lot of economical benefits when you bring a bike trail into a community. And there's information in this handout about some similar trails and what it meant to the community to have a trail going through. So we certainly hope that you're going to be in support of the trail, because we all need to be in support to make this work from all the way from Thorpe to Portland, and we're certainly hoping that will happen. So let's see if there's anything else. I guess the last paragraph in the summary here is a good final statement, which is the best use for the Mountain Division rail bed is a recreational path that will connect our 9 communities, allow for other means of transportation and commuting, and bring tourist dollars to the towns here in western Maine. There'll be opportunity for new businesses, restaurants, coffee shops, brew pubs, bike and rental shops, B&Bs, and other lodging. And that's not just a pipe dream. That's actually happened in different states, different countries, even here in Maine with the existing trails that have already been built. It's really been an economic boom to the towns if it goes through. So, if you want, I will leave these up here. There's also a one page which talks about the economic impact of, what a trail can do coming to an area that I think would be of interest to you as well. Okay? Any questions for me or for Joe, my colleague?
One question, you said trail until rail, what does the until rail mean?
So, if there is ever, a need or a desire to bring the railroad back, we have to maintain the, right-of-way to allow that to happen. And that dates back to the, Maine Rail Use Preservation Act, where rail cannot be taken up permanently and, the area reused for something else. That right-of-way has to be maintained in case there's ever a need or desire.
Then you would have a trail and a rail?
No, I don't believe so. That would be,
Either or?
yes. Mhm.
And another point of clarification is that, the railroad ties, if you folks have walked along the rails, a lot of them are eroding or deteriorating. In fact, the useful life of railroad ties is about 45 years, and the rails is about 50 years. Well, there hasn't been a freight train on this stretch of rail for 40 years as of this year. Passengers since 1958. So, here's the punchline. Those rails, the ties have to be pulled anyway, if you're gonna build a railroad there or you're gonna build a trail there. So, in some way, the money that's invested in getting it prepared as a trail could perhaps be useful should a rail be returned there. But it really does pivot, I think, not so much on the idea of how wonderful it would be to have a railroad there, as much as the economic benefit. Is there an economic case for a railroad to be there and trains running along it with enough volume of traffic to warrant the cost of doing that? So the trail until rail is one step towards what could be a future
To support it.
return.
What I was
I
thinking,
sit on the
like
rail
a light
council.
rail, just a light, rail now.
I sat on that rail council also.
But like something you do that way.
The white.
Passenger rail
Nice to meet you.
towns with the communication for, commuting and so forth. Yeah, different type of a rail that's, that are heavy rails.
Yes,
Like a light rail.
yeah, light
In
rail.
that case, you could probably put a trail next to a light rail.
Maybe, it depends on how, I'm over my head as far as the gauge of the rail and all that, but the ties wouldn't hold it anyway, they have to be replaced, so.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Either way, they would have to be, but.
End of
Looking
this,
back in the future, you said it was either or. I'm looking at a scenario, maybe it's not an either or, maybe it's,
yeah,
could be a joint use.
yeah.
What towns, how many towns and what are they that the 19 million would buy the trail through?
It's 31 miles from, stretching from Standish, the border of Standish and Gorham, all the way out to Freiburg and Brownfield, the border there, by the airport.
And when you get to design phase, is it taken into account that, you might have other walking trails that it would be nice to connect in, rather than to put a fence along the whole length?
Right. We're looking at that, as well. Some of these I think will be a little bit further down the road, but, that adds a lot of excitement to the trail as well. Not just hiking trails, but some, natural areas that people could enjoy, accessing from the trail. Places like campgrounds and, water sources for canoeing and so forth. I know in Brownsville there are a lot of places like that right near where the trail will go through. So it's really a nice opportunity to give people a lot of exposure to what I think is the best of Maine, because I live here, but it truly is. I think it's going to be a really wonderful asset.
And will you be talking with neighboring landowners during the design phase?
We already have, and I'm sure we will be continuing to.
Nobody's talked to me.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about in surveying the communities to find out what they would feel about a railroad versus a trail there, but we have not got to that design phase yet. But
Yeah, that's what I'm really talking about.
This was a
What are you
surveying.
gonna do about my you know, there are decisions there to be made.
Absolutely.
Indeed, indeed. So I hail from Wyndham, in point of fact, South Wyndham. And I'm here for a variety of reasons, not only the role of the board with Terry, but also I just cannot say enough about what that trail until rail has done for me. I can go through the woods from my house about half a mile on a snowmobile trail, albeit in the winter, and get to that. I'm on that rail trail probably 3 times a week, all year round. And I can tell you that there have been times when people want to get out, like in the pandemic, it was almost crowded. You know, there was lots of people that took that opportunity to stretch and get out on the trail. We've done trail counts and have registered over 100 people a day on that trail. And those people have wallets, and those people need coffee or soda or lemonade, and you know, if they're going a greater distance, or maybe stopping into some of the local businesses. And to your point, the snowmobile trail connects to the rail trail as well.
No, I'm supportive. I don't mean to say I'm just trained to think of, you know, where are things we should look at.
Yeah, indeed, and I'm excited about it. So,
yeah, sure. Good.
So one thing we have just started doing, but we hope to do more of, are trail walks, so walks along the rail. And we did one recently in Hiram, and it was really wonderful because some abutters walked with us. And we walked right through their properties, and they said, well, what's going to happen with this or with that? And we talked through, you know, what are some of the solutions, you know, what are some of the challenges, and, you know, what are the possibilities. So I think there's a real sensitivity to the fact that nothing's been on those rails for decades now. So, you know, if something new is coming in, there are people who are going to want to have a say about it and, you know, be informed about how this is going to impact them and their town. And, you know, I think in the long run, people will be very excited about it, but there is disruption, you know, in the meantime while it's being built and all of that. But, you know, the goal is to be, you know, have people in town involved in some of that thinking during that design phase and know what's going on, be informed about what's going on.
And I guess my final worry is what happens if there are problems? I lived in a town in Rhode Island that did rail to trail, and it became the corridor through everybody's backyard, so that dishonest people were riding their bicycles down the trail, going into the back of the house and robbing the houses.
Oh my gosh.
Making a getaway by bicycle, and the cops couldn't follow because the cops had cars. And you know, I mean, it's there are problems that crop up that you don't foresee, is I guess what I'm saying.
I don't think there are any dishonest people in Maine, so I don't think that's
well, that's great. That's great.
No, but you know, these are all things that are going to have to be thought through, you know, the maintenance and, you know, who's responsible for what and the signage and all of that. But those things are all percolating up, and we're trying to address each one to make sure that we hear from everyone and, you know, address as many of those concerns as possible. Great. Yeah.
And I may be coming in late in the ball game here, but there actually are maintenance agreements that are signed for the existing trail between the state, the Maine Department of Transportation, and the towns, and also snowmobile clubs and walking clubs and ourselves, the Mountain Division Alliance. And in there are provisions for enforcement of kind of the rules of the road, as well as things like medical emergencies, 911. There's procedures to follow, and you can probably envision them. I mean, if somebody goes down on the trail and they get hurt, you have to call 911, and the ambulance is going to get as close as they can to that. Yeah, some of it's pretty logical, but some of the other parts we have to hammer out to make sure that your experience in Rhode Island isn't replicated here.
And some of our snowmobile club members in Brownfield, they participate right now in the Freiburg portion of the trail, where they help with the maintenance and blowdowns and, you know, things that happen. You know, fences get damaged or whatever. They said it's not a big deal because it doesn't happen a lot. If there's anything catastrophic, the Maine DOT would step in and help with that. So it wouldn't be just, you know, the town's responsibility. But, you know, we're trying to think all those things through and learn from other trail development as well.
So snowmobiles will be allowed to use it, no ATVs though?
Right.
Okay.
After there's 6 inches of snow.
Okay, oh, yeah,
There's gotta be 6 inches of snow on the rails.
yeah, okay.
You must have just read the minutes from our meeting.
I read those minutes over and over again. I'll be honest with you, I was looking for a fight tonight. I kinda agree with what you're saying and stuff, and see the same thing, so. The lady that come here, what was it, 2 weeks ago? You know, and I'm not gonna say she don't know what she's talking about, but she hasn't had any experience around rail.
Right.
So, if it's the same person who came to Brownfield,
That same night.
yeah, I think there were statements that were cherry-picked from, different documents, and it wasn't really the whole story, so that's why we wanted to be sure we kind of summarize things, in a document, so that you got the full story.
Well, Joe and I, we've talked and stuff before, and as far as business and stuff, we had more business on the rails and stuff, and what we did 30 to 40 years ago here, and what we have now. So as far as seeing more business, this is when the Mountain Division Railroad was failing, or they wasn't using it much, is because Guilford had bought the Delaware and Hudson and had access, with a cheaper to maintain railroad than the Mountain Division was. So that's one reason, there just wasn't business enough up here.
Right.
If there was, I can be honest with you, if there was business enough, I'd love to see the freight trains back through here and stuff, but it isn't happening.
Yeah.
And that's the point that's often missed, and people get very passionate about the railroad, is the question of what's gonna be going on the railroad.
Right.
Where is the freight coming from? Because when Guilford had it, it was going over to Ogdenburg, through Canada, and to the Great Lakes. It was long distance freight. It wasn't originating in Brownfield or Baldwin. It was coming from someplace in the Midwest. It was called bridge traffic, and now it goes through Boston out to the Midwest. And so
Yes, it does.
this was a very expensive section of track to maintain through the mountains for the amount of traffic that was on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's we hope to bring that economic vitality back, but in a different form.
Yeah,
Well, the other thing that we've found out at these meetings and stuff, we didn't know, they talked about using that as like a Conway Scenic Railroad going to Portland and stuff, but they're already busing people from Portland out to Conway Scenic Railroad.
As a Brownfield resident too, I feel like that would be a lot of money spent by Maine taxpayers with no benefit,
You think?
People are gonna spend all that money to restore the rails, to transport people from Portland to North Conway. I love the scenic railway, but I don't wanna pay $147 million for
It's passing through.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yep. So,
When I was coming to the meeting tonight, there was a gentleman just down the road, walking his dog beside the road, and I said, man, he's taking his life in his hands on this road.
Feels that way these days.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can see a benefit to them. Bike clubs, there are large bike clubs that could use it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's been talking that the guy across from the Whistle Stop, he wants to rent bikes and stuff, if this ever starts.
There you
There
go.
you go, yeah. I know, I don't wanna have to drive to Freiburg to ride my bike. I wanna be able to ride my bike from my town, so.
Safely.
Yeah, I'm being selfish.
Yeah, I see a lot of kids learning how to ride bikes on the trail too.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good family thing.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah, and it's slow paced, there's no cars or trucks buzzing by.
Right.
It's the whole family that recreates, not just, mom and dad.
There's some of this stuff that's still gonna have to be shook out, Joe,
Right.
as far as who maintains it. We own on either side of the railroad, on top of the falls, down in back of us. And, I don't wanna see a bunch of trash and stuff down there, so.
That's the way I feel about my road that goes and crosses the tracks.
Yeah.
If I was guaranteed it was all people who never threw a piece of paper on the ground.
Right.
I'd welcome on my property.
We'll have to have people sign a pledge
Right.
before they ride their bike home. Yeah, you're always going to have people, no matter what kind of public recreational activity to have. And we have it on the Saco, you know, people there in the summertime that are really misusing the, the asset, and it ruins it for everyone. But, we'll try not to let that happen. Well, thank you very much for allowing us to come in and talk with you, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for
Thanks.
inviting us in.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, if you have any questions, I'm trying to think how we could.
The letter, yeah.
Pardon me?
Get a letter of support.
Oh,
I've already got one wrote up, it'll be going out tomorrow morning.
okay,
Excellent.
excellent.
My gosh.
So who do they send that to?
We'll get the address.
Okay,
because
okay.
it's,
This will go out electronically.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks,
We'll
everybody.
connect with you on the address, because they haven't scheduled LD 404 yet for a hearing on the commission, the Transportation Committee.
Did you see the email that come through? So you know about that. And that lady's address and stuff is all on there, right? Yeah.
Okay.
You're on it.
I think we're all set.
Great.
We're here for one person, we should have known.
Yeah.
I
You're
thought,
right.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Are you Robin? Are you Robin?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Heard good things about you. Get
Thanks,
things
everybody.
done. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's just the 2 sheets of information.
Yes.
And I'm putting some in the library and some in the post office. Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
He has his back there. Thanks, folks.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Does it work? There you go. One, yeah, just one. Okay, is that all you need?
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is
No,
the fire
that's-
department,
that's it.
fire truck
I just
committee.
have more of the same.
Kathy, can I trouble you for?
So, was it a month ago? Yeah, last week. A month ago, Bruce wanted to orchestrate and put together a truck committee. Myself, Sanders, Kyle Estes, Howard, Brunel, and we roped Chris into it because Chris was involved with the bagger truck that was just built, so he could bring ideas to the table. It was brought to our attention by the members that they wanted to sit down with the selectmen and discuss where we go from here. I believe it's 2027. Does that sound right? So we have a truck up for replacement. Now, I understand that's only a few years from now, but I guess we had some questions that needed to be answered. If we was, simply building a truck for the current fire station or a new fire station. So the members wanted to kind of, I don't want to say hash out.
No, but gauge your feeling
Correct.
on what the future of the fire department in the town looks like in order to better spec this vehicle, because we feel that the physical station in which the vehicle would be stored would actually make a big difference on how the vehicle is created.
Right. Well, it's 4 years away.
Yeah, I don't foresee it building a fire station within 4 years. Correct.
It could be in the planning though.
It could be in the plan.
Right, I mean, I hope to be anyway.
You don't have an empty slot for the truck now, do you?
We don't,
Oh,
we, as the truck committee, have kind of gathered the thoughts of which trucks or truck is going to be replaced. And it's going to kind of depend on,
What we spec out now.
right, what we spec as far as how big, It's been a constant battle in years past of customizing a truck to fit inside the fire station.
We've had sometimes, like West Baldwin, we had to raise it up to get the truck in.
And we had to put, that tank truck, we had to put smaller tires on the
Yeah,
rear.
yeah.
So it would go through the door with the apron. So it's kind of, the committee felt that they would like to sit down with the three of you guys and kind of hash it out. see what we plan as far as the near future and possibly the long-term future.
You guys thinking of a truck like we bought last time? Or are you thinking of something different this time?
Tank one was the newest, so,
So that would be a different.
so technically speaking, on the book, engine one would be your oldest engine to be replaced. It's a 97, so in 2027, it would be 30 years old. And there has been talk about possibly combining a truck with that.
Because as apparatus developed, actually we're able to shrink the amount of apparatus on the department while still filling the same amount of roles, which actually in the future cuts down on maintenance costs because you're consolidating into one vehicle versus having two vehicles to perform the same job.
So you're thinking of getting rid of two vehicles?
Possibly.
Essentially.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that study that says that we got too much equipment now. You know, we're
So
thinking,
over the years, and, you know, Bruce preaches almost every meeting that, you know, manpower is an issue.
right, yeah.
So if you can put more water on wheels, the right size pump, the right tools, on the right apparatus, and fulfill the same duties as two trucks with one.
Right, yeah,
You're gonna, you'll be far ahead of the game.
yeah,
You'll be better staffed with less apparatus essentially.
yeah.
I think the
You'll
other
also
thing you guys
cut
need
down
to look
maintenance
at
costs.
with me is if we gotta decide what's going on to happen 4 years down, 5 years down. the road.
Right, yeah,
Because we're at that crossroad right now. If you're gonna have one station, that means one thing. If you're gonna still have 3 stations, that means something else.
right.
So that needs to be kind of thrashed out, and it's nothing's gonna be quick, but we put it off way too long.
So I guess to follow up what Bruce was saying, you know, if we project that a fire station will be built within the next, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, within the next 5 to 7 years,
Mhm.
do we hold off from the 27 mark and wait until the other station to put that truck in? I mean, there's so many unknowns.
Well, the other thing is the cost. I mean, if you go at something too quick right now, and it isn't gonna be 2 years out, I mean, the cost will probably be up, what, 30%?
Yeah, I mean, regardless, we can spec a truck out and keep it on file, and when we get ready to
They did that with that E1 truck.
submit, you just, hey, this is the truck we need to build, and
Yeah.
Price is never gonna go down.
No.
That was going down on the fire truck.
Bodego-
Different.
Bodego just bought, correct me if I'm wrong.
We bought our replacement for engine 4, which is down on 114, which is designed for the 114 corridor. It's, I mean, it's a custom cab, as they would call it. Looks like a city truck. You know, it's a 6-man person cab, top mount panel, basically the same truck we have. Just newer with all the stuff updated and upgraded, and you're looking at $787,000. And we were told by the 2 different people that one company said you can plan for a 1 to 5% increase every 30 days, and another dealer said 10% every 60 days is what their inflation rate is on right now. Give or take.
And then I talked to Kevin Warren, and Kevin Warren, they just bought a new tank truck down to Sioux Falls. It was almost 600,000.
Yeah. Well, what we, I think we get 350,000 roughly for the Freightliner. We're never gonna see that again.
No.
You know, it's gonna be,
So, they,
it's gonna be 500,000
well,
anyway.
this was the next question, is how are we gonna go about with, you know, are we gonna pay half, finance the rest, you know, cause at the 2027 mark, you're only looking at 400,000 in the account. So, it's all things that's gotta be looked at. And I think, I don't wanna speak for everybody, but the consensus is, we basically don't wanna waste our time. If, at the end of the day, we're trying to help the community by downsizing the fleet, getting a better piece of equipment to replace what we have, but it's gonna cost you money.
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of planning needs to be done,
There's a lot of planning,
and, I haven't really looked into, our current capital investment program. We do have a line in there for fire trucks.
correct,
We
yeah, and
have
that's,
one in there for fire stations, but there's not a whole lot of money in it. One thing we did do today, though, is we passed the TIF with a threat enhancement program.
and I talked to Robin prior, and then after I met with Robin about creating a meeting, I'm thinking, well, maybe we should just wait until after the tip,
Yeah,
see which way that goes. Because that may give you guys a little bit more insight as far as, because it was talking about building a fire station with that money, or whatever.
but I would just say, the caveat is, that still doesn't mean that project's a go.
Correct.
So we will know next spring.
I mean, we're still gonna continue to build the truck, regardless, but we still,
Well, I guess I would say it's easier to put a small truck in a big fire station that we get later on than it is to put a big one in a small one that we got now.
It's a no-go ball.
I mean,
Those 6-man trucks aren't gonna fit down a lot of these roads.
I beg to differ.
yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they're specifically designed to do stuff like that for rural communities.
I may be-
But, no, we've got a lot of work to do, and, it's just starting.
Yeah, and I think, like.
Not only where, if we build a central fire station, where we build it, are we gonna build more of them?
Right, and that would be more on Bruce's side of things than ours, but I guess they wanted a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for?
I just want to see how detailed you're feeling, what we, like, if we're expecting, I think you saying easier to get a small truck in a large station than vice versa is pretty indicative of where we should be looking.
I mean, I really think the truck would come first before the fire station. But just because of the timeline on one, there's gonna be a lot of talk in getting people to agree what to do, and then where to do it, and then how to pay for it. Even with the TIF dollars, that might be, by the time you build the station, a third of it.
Who are you guys looking to talk to this time? Same Champagne that we talked to last time, or somebody different?
I would like to talk to him, but we had to get him involved. Another thing that's happened, and probably you guys don't quite realize it, but when they keep downsizing these trucks, so the board that was prior, they kept going back, it was too expensive downsizing it. When you start with a 1,500 gallon minute pump, and you end up with 750. That 750 I can't use.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. Too
Just
small.
pretty much, we got a
I
nice
think they
big
made them
shiny red
anymore.
truck with a small pump that I can't do anything with outside of town. Because if I start pushing water and they're pushing 1,250 or 1,500, you hook me up, 750.
Yeah.
What you get up
Yeah.
here. And
It-
this
it
has
beats
happened a
perfect.
few times, you keep downsizing pumps and stuff like that, you can't do
Well,
that.
that's the kind of stuff that you guys know and would make a decision with.
Makes sense.
My feeling is we could, get started on it now, be prepared, whatever comes down the road, have it all planned out, that's my feeling.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we can take and put a spec together, and, I mean, we pretty much, between the 4 and 5 of us, we pretty much have the spec of the truck laid out.
Well, that's why I was wondering with the Champagne guy, because he had the line of financing and stuff, he arranged all that for us.
Here's the problem with Chris Champagne. You build a truck, he will come in, he will tell you this is what you wanna buy. He will not take in consideration what you have to build.
Well, I'm just using him as an example, because that's what
Right.
I'm familiar with and stuff. So if you guys know somebody else,
I mean, there's hundreds of manufacturers out there.
I see that.
There's, well, right off the top of my head, you have, Alliance Trucks, you've got E1, you have Pierce, you have KME, you have, you know, and those are just local dealers. You know, you can go to VTAC, which is in Vermont, there's one in Canada, which I actually think Engine 4 was part of that. But there's several people that you can talk to.
Yeah.
And they're all heavy salesmen, just like Chris.
Correct.
Yeah.
All heavy salesmen, just like
Salesmen,
Chris.
yeah, they're all the same.
Now, the prices will vary, because they design the trucks, make the trucks different. You know, your frames are different, your bodies are different, so you're gonna see a difference there. That's why we get the truck committee to crash through that stuff.
Good. Excellent.
Well, it's good we talk a little, Mike, so we can see where you're coming from. I mean, now you know, I mean, we're going to a school board meeting tomorrow night. I'm thinking we're gonna see an increase, what are you thinking? You know, it's the same. Yeah. So we're seeing an increase in the roads, and we can only saddle so much. But listen.
One of the best arguments for a new fire station to me, when you start to talk about the cost of the truck and the size of the truck you need, it's pretty poor planning from my point of view to try to buy a good brand new fire truck at $750,000, $800,000 and put it in a $50,000 building.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking, I kinda disagree with Bob. I think you should put in the fire station first and then the truck, cause you gotta make sure.
I think that's what these guys are asking, do we gear it towards
A new
the
station.
fire station, new station? Or do we
Yeah.
gear it-
You know, I'll be quite honest with you with a truck, you know, I operate enough, and Bruce can attest. That truck down in East Baldwin, there's nothing wrong with it. I'd take that 30-year-old truck over the brand new engine we have in it now.
Yeah.
But
It's set,
so that,
you're talking engine one?
engine one, yeah, great.
Except if you don't let it warm up.
Well, yeah, you gotta let
be
it
walking.
That's the old time.
30-year-old truck has roll.
And that's a transmission problem, with the Allison back there. It's not warmed up, this is what I do, if there's a call, I'll go and start the truck, go back out, get my gear and get that stuff on and go, and the truck's just about ready to end. But if you jump in that truck and try to go, you can walk that, by the post office.
Charge pump.
Federal regulation also.
It's in the transmission.
Yeah.
Because it's not run, you gotta remember, it sets you for week on end.
That's not, I got a problem with that myself, you know, where I come from a maintenance background. I mean, the guys at Portland, at Westbrook, they use their trucks every day. I'm all for it. But when they don't, you dry start them and try to go, boy, you stay stuff up bad internally.
Worst thing to do is let them set.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's valuable information, but the NFPA, Federal, National Protection Fire Agency, is, requires 35 years for apparatus change, and that puts us pretty much right on target with where, this 27, where we're, attempting to kind of update it. So even though it works great, it, does eventually become a liability as well.
Right, yeah.
I just wanna warn everybody that a fire station, new fire truck concurrently is gonna give you a real shock to the town.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we get both, I can guarantee you.
And we're gonna have to learn some new skills here on the select board and in the town office, because I can almost guarantee we're gonna have to have a bond, and we don't do that in all. So.
Well, if it's a bond, but a bond is like an investment. You build this brand new station, you just invest in it. Working stations is 1948 that was built, and they've been modified a number of times. So, I mean, if somebody in 1947 decided we were gonna make an investment, they made it. And we've lived for over 50 years with it, so.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean,
Well, let me ask you, this truck you got, are you thinking about, will it fit the East Baldwin Station where the doors and stuff have been made bigger and stuff?
The height wise, yes, lengthwise, probably not.
So even if you bought the truck, you don't have no place to put it, is what you're telling
You
me?
have to reconfigure it.
Correct.
Yeah. move a couple trucks around or something?
Well, we would have to reconfigure the truck.
Truck, truck.
You know, basically, I don't wanna speak out of turn, but with this being said, the talk is Squad 3 and Engine 1 is the two trucks that we would like to eliminate and create a new one. That would be a truck that essentially would carry ample enough water, so we're looking at maybe 1,500 gallons or more, with exploring up to a 1,500 gallon per minute pump with four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Let's face it, this town is nothing but uphill.
Both ways.
I mean, you know, we're taking the only four-wheel drive truck out of service if we replace it.
Right, that would be the squad truck.
Which would be the squad truck. So with that being said, the idea is the truck would be a 113 corridor truck, which means it would have your extrication tools on it. You could use it technically in a tanker shuttle, and it would be a primary engine. Is kind of what the idea of the truck committee has.
Multi-purpose.
A multi-purpose truck.
That will be expensive in doing it that way.
It
But
will.
you look at the trucks you probably can do away. And
Right.
There again, if you get down to one station, I still think you can downsize your fleet size.
Yeah, yeah, right.
To what extent, I don't know right now until it's studied and examined more, but there's no doubt in my mind that you can reduce the fleet
Yeah.
once there's
Water
one
is your,
station.
water and your pump is your number one obstacle in this.
Somebody
Yeah.
else and I was just, it might have been you and I was just talking about that. I mean, we don't have no hydrants in this town.
Right.
So you gotta transport all your water.
Right, yeah, your truck gets,
You know,
then during the summer, those water holes are dried up, and it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely true.
not saying that's the spec they were going for, but that's the option that's been thrown on the table.
You're gonna go for tandem axle this time?
Depends. Depends on, you know, if
How much water?
you put, it's hard to say because you want the truck to be maneuverable, and if you don't have the right driver, which, how many drivers do you have, Bruce? 3, 4?
Yeah.
I mean, you got 7 trucks right now, and you got 3 or 4 drivers.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
You know, so I think long-term, if you can start combining these trucks into one, and you can get that truck out the door,
Yeah.
you're far ahead of the game trying to roll out 2 trucks.
Yeah,
Makes sense?
yeah.
If it goes through the door, can you push the back wall out a bit?
It's not the back wall, it's where the
You get a good
truck
run.
is.
It's kind of the roof line in front of the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I can be in touch with you guys, and maybe we can set up a meeting date and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, discuss it a little further, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. You know, that was the interest of the,
Well, I don't think we forgot it or anything, but it just, we got some other pieces to try.
I have a question. Does anybody have any clue what the cost of a new station might run that would include all the stuff that the state is now mandating that you guys need to have?
Other towns and stuff around right now, they're building Limerick, Brownfield, you can go anywhere from $2 to $4 million.
I'm thinking the number's gonna be about 5.
And-
By the time you get there, yeah.
And the money that we're gonna get from the TIF is doled out over a 30-year period, so there's not even gonna be $1 million available for a new fire station within the next few
Well,
years.
that's why you do a bond, and, so the money from the TIF is dedicated to servicing the bond, but there's gonna require a town, taxes, you know, to go along with it as well.
And so then you have that other side of the coin where you get your truck spec'd out, what you think is gonna work for if we get a new station, and then the town says, no, we're not paying for a new station. Then you got a truck that doesn't fit anywhere.
So you got a truck that you just replaced, it was worn out too at that point.
yeah.
But I mean, as far as trying to decide on the specs of your truck, you said whether you design it for a new building or for a previous existing building, you might not even have a new building, so you better design it for the pre-existing building.
Well, planning needs to be done.
Yeah.
We'll talk again, set aside some
Yeah.
time.
But if you do that, it sounds like you might not have sufficient pump and water, right?
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation.
Right, yeah, 'cause we really don't know where we're going,
I'd say-
what direction we're going with it.
Build a big truck and let the hiney hang out the back.
I need to poke a hole in the back.
Get a rough building, one of those rough buildings.
Yeah, right.
So we're gonna go back to the old ladder truck up in the Baldwin that had the extension through the wall, is that what it was?
Yeah, right, the old one, yeah. I think I did that.
Paul, you got anything else?
Oh, let's see. Culvert design for River Road.
Oh.
Want to get together sometime?
Yep.
You have access to all those proposals that come in, have you seen them? Are they on, in an email?
I'll have to look for them.
I've read them. One of them was like 7 pages long.
Yeah. But we should, pick somebody and start a discussion with them. So,
Do you get anything, Chip?
No, I'm all set.
Marvin?
No, well, I do have one thing, kind of as a follow-up to the discussion that, we had with Chris over the ordinances and the signs, and he mentioned having an application for a private road sign, and, possibly having like the homeowners responsible for replacement glass and stolen and so on and so forth. My only concern is having, with the application and, the financial burden put in on the customer, but it's usually the town or the E911 coordinator that just deciphers or just, decides whether or not there's gonna be a road name. So if we're taking that responsibility on as to whether or not we name a road and call it a road, then shouldn't we be responsible for it, I guess is.
well, but there was a draft ordinance, Chris, that you were gonna send us a copy of.
Yeah, I can do that.
Send it to Robin.
Yeah.
I think there's all that in there.
I think, honestly, it'd be up to the town on what they decide to do. I mean, some towns charge for it, some towns don't.
But in terms of them applying for it, it's not really an application. I mean, you can use it for tracking purposes, I suppose, but it's not truly an application process if it's up to the E911 coordinator to, or the town to decide whether or not the road is named or not.
But is it up to the town? Like, do you decide if it's a road or not? Or do they request that it's a road?
But,
Cause like, you have like, we'll say, I don't know, Joe, what's your road name?
Pierce Place.
Pierce Place. There's 2 houses?
Yep.
So,
generally speaking.
Is that a private, I mean, it's a private road,
Yeah,
but is it a driveway or is it a road?
The rule of thumb usually is 2 or more places, you're required to name it, or for the potential for further growth down the road. Anything beyond 2, just like with a subdivision.
Blaze Lane? Blaze?
Blaze. We had,
One road, one house?
right, but we had to name that for identification purposes.
Right.
We couldn't, I went back and forth with the state on that, we could not give him a River Road address.
Right, well, and that's just, it's just one
Yeah.
of those things that I just put
Mhm.
out there. And maybe scenarios like that, it's not really an application as much as it is a horse thing, but Reynolds Way, over on San Palm,
Mhm.
Granted, they put that sign up, but,
Right.
you know, there's one house, it's a driveway,
Mhm. Yep,
but their address isn't Reynolds Way.
no.
But we can always look at that, I mean, that's part of the process of going through it all.
Never, you get anything?
No, I don't.
Nothing at all?
No, nothing.
Kathy?
So, at the library and the blinking lights, when 113 got put through, there was a small portion of land that got left on the other side of the road that belongs to the library. I don't know exactly where the dotted line is, but the people that were on that corner just cut the whole swath except for the cemetery. Just gone to the dirt.
I see that, yeah.
And so I'm kind of concerned, what's going on? Should I try to get the property marked off in some fashion to make sure that it doesn't get incorporated into whatever it is that they're doing over there?
You could try, does the registry of deeds have a meets and bounds description?
I have no idea, because the
But you
building
said-
was built in 1905.
Yeah, but there should be a deed to the land.
Should, I like that should.
Richard Sandman did that once, so.
He did,
I thought
but
so.
I don't think he left any sketch behind.
So I'm gonna look through the library to find out, and maybe the registry of deeds is the place to go, but does the town have anything like that in the records on our
I
land
don't
maps?
see
or-
anything on the drawings over here. I've been through all the drawings that are in the corner,
Okay,
and I'm not sure that they would, since it's not a town-owned property.
right, but properties are delineated, so
But we don't keep drawings of all
where
of
the
them.
cemeteries are and all.
Any chance if there's any drawings in the lot records,
In the, excuse me?
in the tax records? Take a look in there.
Generally, it's a survey, you know, if there's a survey done along the way, but the registry of deeds would just, like Bob said, note in the deeds where the boundaries
Right.
are, but without a survey, because the tax maps are just approximate, as you know, but.
Do you know who donated the property?
In 1905, I have no idea. I think it was a collective of people that put together, but the Brown family gave land, money, both.
The way to start, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and we interject here, but, when I was a little kid, I lived down on the way to Cunnish Harbor, and, they changed the road. And this land that belonged to other people now became ours,
Right.
because they changed the road. And I'm wondering, did they change 113? Would that mean that the land on the opposite side would go with those people? That's
Not
all
that I
I'm
know.
asking you. Okay.
Not that I know.
Or do they have a survey? If the library doesn't have, does the abutters have a survey that would, have a description of that line?
And what is the name
bet
of
they
the
do.
company? They've got all those
They got a sign
big
on it.
cable, what are they, fiber optics or whatever it is that they do.
They have a sign on the building.
Oh, okay.
He's a pretty good guy, Kathy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've met him up here. I talked to him about a week ago on some of his cutting and stuff, and he was still in there. They were talking about cutting all around on that cemetery too,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought the town owned the cemetery, but I guess we don't.
No, it's a private cemetery.
It's illegal to cut trees in the cemetery.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, I'm gonna stick my neck on a chopping block. What if all of a sudden you say yes, they break 2-3 headstones?
Yeah, I know.
It's illegal to cut trees in the cemetery.
Can't do
Yeah,
it.
so it's gotta stay like it is,
Yep.
yeah. I'll be honest with you, I kinda like it looking like it is now, because it reminds me when I was a kid, we used to slide on that hill and stuff all the time.
And there's a stream that goes through there. Is it okay to be cutting there? Is that a safe thing to do to the water?
I can't answer that.
50% of the trees or the mass can be cut. 50% of the square inches at breast high,
But that's
Within
the whole,
100
of the
feet.
whole lot,
within 100 feet of the stream.
within 100 feet.
Yep.
The other trees are like way, way down on the other side of the property.
I see he's left quite a lot of stuff down around the brook and stuff like that.
Has to.
Yeah, some,
Yeah,
it's little sticks,
He-
pretty scalp.
Don has to enforce that too. And he doesn't want to.
No. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I know that was staked out once before, I remember Richard doing it,
Yes.
stuff like that, but
Right.
I can't
Just don't
remember
have
just
any
where.
records of it.
There might be something in the conditional use permit for the guy who owns the land near, next, there.
Didn't Basil White, a number of years ago, try to put a trailer in behind the library and they caught it?
They did, it's up beside the Dean Woods house now.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, is they
I
tried
don't,
it.
I don't Woodworth had something to do with that when he was involved. That was a long time ago.
Kathy, I can look through the minutes
Okay.
from the library meeting back when Richard was
Mhm.
there and see if I have
That'd be
anything
great.
there.
Okay, okay, cool,
I'll check if we have any, but I don't think we do.
okay.
Joe, you get anything?
Well, you got your financing for the walking paths.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Around here?
Yep.
Oh, yay.
So now we gotta plan that.
That was why I was asking about an interconnect.
Yes, I was thinking that too, yeah.
So congratulations.
Oh, good.
Oh, thank
Your
you.
hard work of filling out that
Yeah,
for me.
Robin and I together.
Good.
Dolan,
I think we're good, thank you.
other Dolan?
Good.
Dawn and Dawn, lined right up here.
There we are.
Bruce?
Nope, we just burn the buildings we got, and you guys know about all of that, so we just.
Stevie? I don't know your name?
Well, then I'll introduce myself. I'm Steve Sanders. I own a property that was the old Russell Farm on the top of Grafton Road. Nice to meet you all more formally.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I have nothing here. Thank you for time discussing fire department matters about.
Chris?
The only thing I think I have is we went over to, the last 2 days, we were working over on River Road, trying to put lipstick on a pig, if you will. Tried to put some gravel down, fill some potholes, tried to work it, so it didn't get all muddy. Made it better, I think.
Pigs only got lipstick on one side?
Top, no, just on the top, no lipstick on the bottom. In the process of it today, we blew a tire on the grader, so, we don't have that built, so the next time.
How'd you do that? Running over a rock or something?
I have no idea.
Just blow, just
I
blow.
was going along, I'm like, boy, this feels a little funny, and I look back and I see the tire just, boop, boop, I'm like, oh, crap. So, Central Tire out of Sanford came right up, they had a tire in stock. They did it, I'm glad they did it, because they had a heck of a time trying to do it.
Yeah.
They're running,
We have no way to do it on the road, so.
Right,
they're
right.
running them flat for a minute, helps them.
Well, break the bead. He said that, he's like, wow, this is great, it's already broken down. Like, yeah, it is.
Oh, it's going along.
They had a heck of a time getting it to rebead though. So,
I had a guy blow a tire on a scraper once, 36-inch tire.
yeah.
And he shut it right down, right tight. He did the right thing. He got me, he said, what do you want me to do? I said, drive it. He says, I'm gonna ruin the tire. I said, it's already ruined.
Right, it's already flat.
Like you say, when the guy gets tire from the tire company that was already broke down on the beat, I'd made his day.
Yeah. It's easy to pull it off after that, break the rim, split it, pull it
Yeah.
off. So, they did that tire's been replaced, the other ones are not in great shape.
So they're
Trying to milk it.
Yeah.
Until we get a little bit more funding in to do a couple of the others, but I got one new tire and it looks really nice.
So maybe if you blow another one, eventually you get.
Eventually I'll have all six.
So,
But, so we'll try to tackle and see what we look like. I don't wanna do too much before the rain.
Yeah, it's pointless.
We'll talk about snow.
Yeah, don't talk about stuff. We're all done.
Okay. Don't look at time any nice weather then.
I know.
Yeah, I just have a public service announcement. The Historical Society's meeting is tomorrow night, and it's gonna be a really awesome program. We were able to get some old glass negatives from 1908, and Sharon's put together a fantastic program. She's gonna show some of those, glass negatives and see if anybody recognizes some of the places. Some of them are Baldwin, some of them are some of the surrounding towns. Quite a few of them are Freiburg and the Academy. You might recognize some of the folks that are in them, but, it's gonna be a great program. I think if you get a chance, you ought to come down and check it out. And the only other, PSA I have is senior lunch is going to be on the 19th of next month. And sorry about canceling it this month, but the weather report did not sound good, and I didn't want anyone to,
Yeah.
you know, take that chance and not have to, so.
Too bad we got school board meeting.
Yeah.
School budget meeting.
Did I miss anybody? I guess I'm looking for a vote to adjourn.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.